Alright, welcome back everyone, Zaf here to yet another juicy solo organized video. We have the updated battlefield timeout. That means we have to do a guide for it, so let me show you every hunter you can use, every weapon you can use as well, your build choices when it comes to artifacts, blessings, and more, and of course the run itself, so you know exactly what to do. And speaking of what to do, do not forget to support. I just sent out over 8,500 codes to all our supporters. The latest code we got was for 500 essence and 4 weapon design, so make sure you go to the link down below, support. You can still get the code, of course, you're not too late. Just support, don't think, and you will get a code. And of course, do not forget to subscribe, that way we hit the 100,000 subscriber mark together. And of course, congrats to Hal from the first commenter on our last video. Here is your shoutout and enjoy your juicy Discord role. So let me show you exactly what we ran for this battlefield time. Overall, I think this one is very doable for anyone who is free to play. There are a lot of choices you can make. This one is fairly versatile. Phase 1 can be done multiple ways, so let me cover all those as well. First, when it comes to your hunter choices, fairly standard. As you can see, every single time Jinnu is on the map, we run Malin and Min. That's because they're just so good at supporting, but you can run different hunters here. So we're using Jiwoo for the break, very good. She also has a shield, which does help out in phase 1, I'll show you. We use Malin, of course, she buffs up basically everything, super useful. But in this case, Min is interchangeable. You can use Nam instead, if you need more break. If you're finding you're breaking a bit too slow, Nam is actually perfect for this run. You don't necessarily need Min. He does provide some bonuses, but break is very useful here as well. So make sure you choose accordingly, based on how much break you can output. So if your pulverize is maybe at the rare mark, your blessing zone that is, Nam might honestly be a good choice, so keep that in mind. I have the legendary blessing zone pulverize, so I have more than enough break. For this run, our weapons are very standard, but there are alternatives you can choose. First of all, we do use Grimoire because of the A1 bonus. It's very strong, increases elemental weakness damage taken by 24% on the target, very strong. And we use Plum because it buffs up all our skills when you have it to A3. So dashing is vital with Plum. You want to dash, then use your skills. Don't forget to dash if you have it to A3. A1 is good as well, of course. This is a very strong effect for pumping up a skill that you want to use next, so make sure to use it. But let's say you don't have Grimoire, you can use this right here. The Frostbite Sword basically has the same A1 effect, not necessarily, but still pretty good. It is half, but still strong, and it is helpful using as our weapon, especially when it is advanced up, because as you get more advances in, as you can see, you get this bonus right here, increasing your attack, defense, and HP, which does help a lot in battlefield time. You can also use this weapon right here, a rare weapon. It worked out in the previous battlefield time, so if you're strapped for weapons, you can use it. Let me just scroll down here. We have so many SR weapons, give me a second. Way too many, I do need to salvage all of them. This weapon right here does work fairly well, it's not too bad at all. So if you have this to A10 and nothing else to, let's say, A1 from the choices I listed, this can be a good pick. As you can see, I already have one to A10 from a previous battlefield time, so give it a try, it can work out. Casca's Venom Fang is okay, but for this run, I didn't really like it. But again, depending on you have, it might be a good choice to make. And when it comes to your shadows, I use the Big Rock, because we use so many basic skills for this run, so a 10% damage bonus is quite substantial. If you don't have it, you can use Igris for the crit. Crit is so helpful for the battlefield time, making sure you get more DPS out. Since your crit is a max, so a good choice to make. For your other two shadows, ideally, you have to use Cerberus and Iron. If you don't have them, just use your next strongest shadows. That totally works out fine. The reason why we use Cerberus, for example, is because of the skill right here. It's a permanent 5% damage taken buff, very strong, and with Iron, a 12% defense reduction, very good as well. That's why I use them. Two shadows that do provide passive effects to the enemy, very strong. And let's say you're missing a weapon from one of your hunters, specifically Jiwoo. A lot of you might not have a weapon. You can use this weapon right here, let me show you. This one right here, giving you more elemental damage. Pretty decent, give it a try. Though overall you can use any A10 rare as well. A10 rares are very strong, giving you an increase to attack, defense, and HP, but overall, you're not using your hunters for damage. They don't do much in the battlefield time. Jinu is going to do all your damage, so don't worry too much. Ideally, just use their signature weapons, that way they deal the most damage possible. Now, for artifact choices, very standard. This is basically what we're going to see in every battlefield time, with some modifications of course. So we are running Curse, it's very strong at the Force set effect. You can use other sets though, you're not restricted to this. Some sets might work out depending on what you want. Could be this set right here, let me find it. Warmongers, I mean it's okay. You do have to maintain your stacks, that's the only issue. But it can be pretty good, but overall I feel like Curse is more consistent. Warmongers in this case is okay because we don't have too many attack bonuses, so it can help out a lot, giving you more attack to scale off of. Toughness works too if you don't have Curse. Getting more crit and crit damage is a huge help. That is one set I honestly love, and I think that's basically it for that set. When it comes to your accessories, it's pretty standard as well. We're just using the Viridescent set. It gives us an 18% cooldown reduction and an 18% increase in damage, very good. It does make our mana cost higher, but that's okay. We can compensate for it by using a ton of basic attacks to build up our mana. I don't recommend the Obsidian set, although it's very strong. It will not help out for this run because you're so constrained for mana, and honestly that's the only set that really works, so just use that. In my opinion, it's the best thing out there for this run, that is. Cooldown reduction and damage, it does not get better than that. And for our Hunter artifact choices, very standard as well. We're running Soul Analysis for more break on Jiwoo, fairly simple choice. We're running the Self's Blessing. It does stack for the Hunter, so you can get 3 stacks ASAP, giving you up to a 15% elemental weakness damage increase, very strong. We need 1 blessing set, so we put it on Malin. And then for Min, we have the Noble Sacrifice set. You can of course use this set too, if let's say you have a lot of attack bonuses. You can use, let me find it here, Angel in White, provides an 8% damage increase to the team member with the highest total power, so give that a try. And for the accessories, we have the Self's Blessing as well, so we get those stacks faster. It does help out a fair bit. Now for skills, there are a ton of choices you can make. It just depends what you have to heroic, rare, or legendary for example. So you do have to use Iceberg. It is the best skill in the game for providing break to water targets. If you find you don't have enough break, you can use Iceberg with this skill right here, Rush. You'll break the target ASAP, so fairly decent choice, but overall, I'd rather use 2 other skills. That's because they help out a lot of Phase 1 and Phase 2, but also deal a ton of damage to the Cerberus, so this skill here does work, Cold Storm. A lot of damage and also clears the first wave pretty quickly, if you use it correctly. Same with this skill right here. Not as strong as the previous skill, but still very good. If the target is in the break state, it does get a buff, so pretty good for Cerberus. Those should be our ideals. There's not really too much else you can use. I mean, this skill works fine as well, but those choices were much better in my opinion. So stick with those, depending on what you have, and I'll show you how to use each one, just so you get a better sense of it. And for our Blessing Stones, again, very standard, Pulverize for more break, easy choice. I also went with Double-Edged Sword, just for more attack, that's my choice though. You can use things like Sharp Perception as well, giving you more crit. This is very good for battlefield time. Crit chance is just so useful, and of course, Weakness Detection, giving us weakness increased damage, very good. You can of course use Bloodlust as well for defense reduction, and one skill I love for battlefield time is Reawakening, giving you more cooldown reduction, very good for having all your skills up constantly. You can also use Mana Rampage for the flat attack bonus, but of course if you're missing the Blessing Stones I mentioned, you can use things such as Boss Slayer, not too bad. Advanced Sacred Technique, these all work, basically any Blessing Stone. And if you're having a ton of mana issues, you're not good at basic attacking, you can use Demon Slayer, though I just recommend basic attacking as much as possible to build up your mana. That way, you don't have to waste a Blessing Stone spot. Getting more damage is vital. So with that said, that should cover everything. Let me just show you Phase 1 really quick, using multiple skills so you get a good sense of what to do. So with this skill loadout right here, before I show you my full run of course, this is what I do. And also, just note, when it comes to damage on Jinu, the only thing that really matters is your weapon advancements, not their level. The levels do not matter, so don't basically go out and level random weapons and waste your weapon enhancements, doesn't matter. A level 1 weapon will work just as well as a level 100 weapon. Same with your hunters, the advancements only matter. Same with the weapon advancements too. And for artifacts, it's just the set bonus, that's why I have no advancements on any of my artifacts. They're not enhanced up, all +0. So that's not important too, but what is super important, of course, is your blessing stones. Legendary or heroic all matter, but also when it comes to your skill levels, these matter a lot too. It does influence your damage, so leveling up your skill levels is very good. You don't have to use your mana power extracts, but get it to level 7 at least. That way you deal more damage, making the run much easier. So let me hop in, show you what we do. When we spawn in for this method, I do basically use all our hunters. It does help out with the weakest section damage. You can use Plum as well, as we've noted in previous runs. So you saw there, clear the first wave very quickly. Now you can just start spamming auto attacks, right? Very simple as he rushes towards you. The reason why Jiu was so good for this run is because she provides a shield. So in the first phase, you can basically plow through it. So let me show you it one more time just to get a sense of it. I won't pause, let's do it very quickly. So we're going to rush in, use Grimoire, clear that side of the mob, and then go here, use E, and then target, start auto-attacking, spamming. Grimoire does clear it fairly quickly, and boom. Overall, you can do the first phase in around 9 seconds. It's very easy to do. Other skills you can use, so I can show you, would be that delayed skill right here. Let me swap to it. It does use the same concept more or less, but you do have to position yourself slightly different. So let me use it right here. Let me hop in. So if this skill, although deals a little bit more damage, it's a bit harder to get off. Let me show you. You do have to position yourselves just a bit to the side, so it's all the targets. But overall, same concept, not too hard. You are getting, a bit more time, and unfortunately, a bit harder to pull off. As you can see, it took much longer. So use the other skill instead, easier to get off in my opinion. Deals less damage, but it's easier to use. So let me show you the full run now. That way you understand exactly what to do to get a fantastic time, because as you know, getting the first place spot is so important. We got it for Rigorous, though my server is a bit easy, and that's why we're ranked number 1 right now. We follow these tips, making sure we get that juicy crown. Oh baby. So let's hop in. So let's jump in and I'll show you exactly what to do. So when we spawn in, spam your hunters, get those buffs off, as you can see in just a moment here. When we use Malin, when we use Jiwoo, and when we use Min, we get all these bonuses being applied. This is the Sylph's Blessing, so a 5% bonus, and it does stack, you saw there. When we use Min, we got one more stack off, very important. And you can also use Plum in this phase if you don't have enough damage. Plum does give a boost, so you dash, use Plum. You also get the passive bonus off as well. Overall, a good choice to make. So in the corner here, we're going to use Grimoire. Very simple. And as the mobs run forward and the mobs there die, we're going to use whichever skill you chose. So in my case, that skill right here, we're going to use it, clear all the mobs, and then dash and auto-target this mob right here to finish the animation. Auto-target is very important because he does move around, super annoying, but because we use Jiwoo, we have the shield, so him going through us is no problem at all, but in this case, cleared him very fast. So as Cerberus comes out, what you want to do is dash, use Plum, get the stacks off of course, then dash again, use Shadow Step, you'll see here. Very simple, and what you can do as well is once you get Shadow Step off, you can start basic attacking just a few times, build up your mana. You saw there, whenever you use basic attacks, your mana does go up by a lot, already full. Very important to do when you're out of mana, of course. A lot of players do miss that. So once that's done, we're gonna dash, use Iceberg to get the break off. The reason why we're dashing is to use Plum's passive. So I'm gonna go back and show you really quick. I'm gonna dash once the skill resolves, and you see Amplifying Draw. This will boost our next skill's damage. So in this case, Iceberg deals a lot of damage for this one, of course, even though the target isn't broken. Next, I'm going to dash again, use a skill here, very simple. You can, of course, as well, use Plum, and then use your Grimoire skill. That way the target does have the Elemental Weakness buff applied to it, and Grimoire overall deals a lot of damage, so up to you. In my case, this was faster. It gave me less mana issues, kind of important for me. So I did save Grimoire for the mid-battle instead. So once I use that, just gonna start using our basic attacks, build up our mana, super important. Use Shadow Step, and as you can see, I was playing for 7 hours, oopsies. Let's just say I was testing every alternative I could use for this run, just to make sure I use something correct. Don't want to give you bad advice, of course. So do drop me a like for the 7-hour grind for this video. But going back, as you can see, You can get your Shadow Step off now. Once you basic attack 1 or 2 more times, fill up your mana, no rush overall. So we're going to use Shadow Step at the very last second. Now we're going to use our Hunters who are remaining. So they're resetting right now after using Grimoire to get that elemental weakness damage off. Very, very important. So overall, fairly simple run. Basic attacking what we can, making sure our buffs all stack. In this case, I'm making sure Malin's, Min's, and also the Grimoire's buffs all stack. Super, super important. And here I'm going to break the target and use Shadows. There we go. Use them early to get the passives off. Kind of important. So now we're going to use our skills. Basic attack, use Plum, always dashing. Dashing is super important, of course, that we get the bonuses off. Use our skills and done. So in my case, it was a bit faster because I crit and I have overall, higher leveled skills. In your case, you're going to use, more rotation, so more Grimoire, getting more damage off, kind of important. You can wait because invincibility frames do come up, but overall, the run's fairly standard. You're just making sure if it's taking you a long time to stack your passives. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to deal less damage and your run's going to take a very long time. So, hope you enjoyed. If you did, please drop a like, make sure to subscribe, and also do support us on that Marvel Supporter Program. We're ranked #1 for a reason. I make sure everyone gets a code. And with that said, this was your Code King Zaf signing out.